was the most humble, from whatever humble means, in all the people upon the face of the earth. Now there's a question. When Moshe Rabbeinu wrote about himself. It means Hashem told him to write this. If he disagrees, that he's a kaifer, he's a denial, he's not a kais. He has to believe what's written in the Torah, like all of Am Yisrael. So it means he can't say, like there's a story that somebody met the Chafetz Chaim. He didn't know it's the Chafetz Chaim. He, on a train, he sees a Yid, a nice Yid, says, where's you from? He says, he's from Vilna, the great, but we're specifically from Radin. Do you know about the tzaddik in Radin, the Chafetz Chaim? So he doesn't know, he's talking to the Chafetz Chaim. He says, nah, he's not a tzaddik. Not such a tzaddik. And the kids, the guy got very angry when he says, you put down, how do you speak as such? I don't know if he slapped him, but he got very, very angry. How can you speak like that about the tzaddik ador that everybody agrees? And then it came to another station, and the people began to come into the train, and he finds out that it's the Chafetz Chaim, and he's terribly embarrassed. And the Chafetz Chaim tells him, listen, you didn't do anything. He asked forgiveness. You didn't do anything wrong. You just said about me that I'm not a tzaddik, and it's true. I'm not a tzaddik. He continues. So at least the Chafetz Chaim said he's not a tzaddik. But what were the Chafetz? That was his way of dealing with his modesty. He didn't feel that he's a tzaddik. But what would be if the Rebbeinu Shem would come to the Chafetz Chaim and say, listen, you got to write it in the Torah that you're a tzaddik, then he couldn't say he's not a tzaddik. Because Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't deal and say, I'm not an onav. If the Torah writes he's an onav and he doesn't believe it, he's kind of there as Moshe. So he had to believe it. So we have here a different understanding in another. It means a person says, I'm the greatest onav. You're the greatest onav, that you're not an onav. No. It seems that these two things are not contradictory. We have to understand, but this proves that another doesn't mean not to recognize your qualities. It does not mean. Doesn't mean. So what exactly is another? Really, one needs a definition of another. It must be that another means that you don't give yourself credit for it. And you might appreciate it, but you don't feel, you recognize that it's not yours. I would say to myself today, a mistake is very good for a person. It teaches a person appreciation. I mixed up two places. I came here, I wasn't supposed to speak today, I was supposed to speak tomorrow. I came to another place where I usually speak Wednesday. To say, it teaches, one has to say thank you, and I was sure that I was right, till everybody told me no. it means that we have to say thank you to Hashem, that usually the head works, that we keep order. It doesn't have to be like that. We tend to take the things that we have for granted. Not only do we take it for granted, we think that we deserve, if we have some positive quality, we think we deserve honor for it. Look, I have this thing, I should be honored, I have such a great thing. That's where the problem of another begins. Another means that what I possess is not mine. It's all a gift from Hashem. And one of the things, and now that's point number one. So that's why Moshe Rabbeinu says that Hashem told him to write the Nova. Could be he didn't feel that anything is coming for him because it's all a gift of Hashem. And he continued thinking that even this trait, it's because Hashem gave him this qualification, this understanding, this awareness to come to another. It's not his. So he doesn't deserve credit for it. He's not looking for honor. That's point number one. Point number two, every person, this I'm saying over now from the Chafetz Chaim himself, I saw, every person is asked from him according to his capacity. You have to always compete with yourself and not compete with somebody else. You can't compare yourself to somebody else, you have to compare yourself to yourself. And you have to ask yourself, am I doing the best according to who I am? The fact that I'm better, if Reuben is better than Shimon, that doesn't mean anything. The question is if Reuben is better than Reuben. Is Reuben doing his best as Reuben? If he's better than Shimon means nothing. Maybe he has more possibilities than Shimon. So let's see what happens with Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu had something very, very unique about him. something outstanding, which he was the only one that experienced this experience in the past of the world, in the future, and he's one of his kind. What was special about Moshe Rabbeinu? Moshe Rabbeinu went to heaven. He was 40 days with Hashem without eating and drinking. So you can say he was what Chazal called Ola L'Shamayim. He went up to heaven. All the people, the rest of the people in this world, from the beginning of time to the end, they are al Pnei Adama. They're on this in this world. They didn't leave this earth. They didn't go to outer space. Outer space is also this world. But the Moshe Rabbeinu was Ola L'Shamayim. He went to heaven. So Moshe Rabbeinu was constantly saying, am I fulfilling my obligation? I have a totally different obligation to serve Hashem. I went to heaven. The Ish Moshe on of what made, so the pasuk is Ramez. What made Moshe more modest than everybody else? Just because all the Adam are al Pnei Ha'adam, they're on the face of the earth. I went to heaven, I have a totally different obligation, so I'm less than them. If they would have went to heaven, who knows, they would have been better than me. According to what I experienced, I have such a great obligation that I'm not fulfilling my obligation. He was always saying to himself, he has such a great obligation, he can't fulfill it. And that's the remez in the pasuk. Va'ish Moshe Onav Ma'oid Mikol Adam Asher Al Pnei Ha'adam. Mikol Adam Asher Al Pnei Ha'adam, from man which is on the face of this earth. Because he compared himself that he's not on the face of this earth, that he went Shemayim, so the obligation, the claim, his duty and responsibility to Hashem is so much greater than all the other people. So he felt that compared to the other people, they're fulfilling their obligation, but he always said to himself, he's not fulfilling his obligation. And that's bichlal, a lesson to the person that he has to think that he has to compare himself not to others, but to compare himself to himself. According to what he was given from Hashem, is he fulfilling his possibilities? And if a person will make this cheshbon, it will be easier to come to another. So that's point number 2. Till now we spoke about another 2 points. Let's go over. Point number 1, another means you recognize that whatever you have is not yours, it's a gift from Hashem. Point number 2, you ask yourself according to your own gifts and not make comparison to others. You compare yourself to yourself and not to others. Now, point number 3, why another is very important. It says in Masechet Avot, Ma'oid, heavy, shval, ruach. Ma'oid, it doesn't say about any other meter. Shval, ruach, be down. Shval, ruach, have shiflut. What is the opposite of shiflut? It is looking for honor. And here again, I'm saying over something from the Rav S very interesting. Don't, in other words, shiflut ruach means don't look for honor for what you do. Don't be. Many people lost their olam haba. If we go back, the famous statement of Chazal, there are 3 basic things, and everybody has an isoyin of one of these 3, at least one of these 3, and if you don't stand on the test, you lose everything. What are the 3 things? Hakina, hataiva, v'hakovoy, moitziin, esa'odom min ha'olam. Either there were people that lost everything through the midah of jealousy, or desire, or covet, or the running after honor. And you have to know, whenever you find yourself in a test of one of these 3 things, you have to know that it's dangerous. You have to know that these are the 3 enemies of success in ruchnius, success in fulfilling one's purpose in this world. Now, covet is a very big pitfall. Why? The Chavetz Chaim writes, there's a very big difference between covet and all the other pleasures of this world. Let's see. The Gemara says like this: Schar mitzvah b'hai al maleka. The reward for mitzvahs is not in this world. So let's think about that for a minute. Why can't Hashem pay up the person? Why does Hashem? Is it just because He wants to make a test? Why are the mitzvahs not paid in this world? Schar mitzvah, the reward for mitzvahs, is just the opportunity to do more mitzvahs. Schar mitzvah, mitzvah. But schar, the actual reward for mitzvahs is not in this world. Why? Why not? You know what the answer is? The answer is, like it says in Masechet Avot, because Yofa Sho'achas Sho'koyres Ruach B'olam Haba Mikol Chayei Olam Hazeh. if we were to take all the pleasures of this world and put them in one compact experience, it can't come up to a second from one end of the world to the other. All the pleasures together can't come up to the second of pleasure of the neshama in Olam Haba. It's a different type of pleasure. It's a spiritual pleasure. So if Hashem pays up the person in this world, he's getting cheated because it's magia lehem. It comes to him. He deserves much more. The mitzvah being a spiritual act, there isn't anything in this physical world which is up to, has the value to pay up for a mitzvah. However, there's one thing in this physical world which has something spiritual in it, and that is the concept of honor. Honor is not something, it's not for the roof. I'll give you an example. You can't give the pleasure of honor to a dog. Is it possible for a dog or an animal, the most clever animal, a monkey, to receive honor? Absolutely not. An animal can't be insulted and he can't feel honor, importance. It's an intellectual concept. The pleasure of honor that the other one values me, what impression I make on the other one, is purely a human trait. It's connected with the neshama. So therefore, the pleasure of honor it's a gashmiistic. In the world of spirituality, it's the most megushim spiritual thing, but it's something spiritual. Therefore, it says in Svarim that when a person does a mitzvah and he gets honor, the honor takes away from the reward of the mitzvahs. It could be that he can get paid for the mitzvahs in honor, even though schar mitzvah, b'hai al maleka, you can't be paid up for mitzvahs in this world, but honor can pay up for mitzvahs because it's something spiritual. Haraya, what's the proof? Take a look at people which have money. How many millions will they give to have their name put up on a building for honor? The people will give up millions. So you see that the pleasure of the honor is much greater than the millions. People which have money, they'll go to all extremes for something of honor, to have their name put someplace or have for honor. So honor is something spiritual. It's against all the things of this world. So that when a person, there's nothing that reduces the reward for mitzvahs, so Chazal gave an eitzah, they said, don't look for honor for your mitzvahs. Don't look for honor. Ma'oid, ma'oid, hevish v'aruach. It's written a story as well about the Chafetz Chaim, that he was running away from honor, and somebody said to him, why are you so much running away? So he gave a mashal. So he said, if you probably eat, there's a food they eat on Shabbos, chulin, kugel, whatever. If your wife prepared a nice kugel on Erev Shabbos, and you want to finish the kugel on Erev Shabbos, she'll tell you no. So it's not for Erev Shabbos, the kugel's for Shabbos. I didn't make it not for Erev Shabbos. So the Chafetz Chaim said, kavod, honor is kugel. It's made for Shabbos. Shabbos is Olam Haba, Yom Shikul Shabbos. The kugel of honor wasn't made to be eaten in this world. Honor is kugel. Wait for the honor. That's made for Shabbos. You have to put the honor. You got to put away for Shabbos. That's what the Chafetz Chaim said. That's his explanation of ma'oid heavy shalom. Look, if we have this hashkafa, it takes away a little bit from the concept of running after kavod, which is a big pitfall. We know that there were very great people because of kavod. They lost everything. Ki Yadua, the famous Chazal, that Yerovim ben Nevat was on a very high madrega from the point of his neshama. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to him, do tshuva, and you together, me, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ani, Ve'imcha ben Yishai, together with Ben Yishai, we will be Mataya, we'll have the same level together, a shutfas, a partnership in Gan Eden. And this is how the Chazal brings down. It says Yerovim ben Nevat, Mesil Zishon brings it. Be Rosh. Wasn't satisfied that he'll have share with David HaMelech, even Hashem. But me, Barash, who's first? Me, Barash. I don't want to be second. I want to be number one. Many people have lost everything from not wanting to be number two, not being happy with being number two, from the wish to be number one. What is number one, number two? Kavod, honor. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu answered him, number one, David HaMelech. And when he heard number one is David HaMelech, this prevented him from coming to tshuva, and he lost that. So kavod can push away everything. Now, another word connected with kin'ah. How kin'ah can make you lose everything. There's a very interesting, as well I'm saying over now from Rav S. In last week's parsha, we have something very fascinating. It doesn't exist anywhere in the Torah such a thing. Over 12 people, they instated the Mizbeach, the altar, as being a place of Kabbanis. And each one brought exactly the same korban. And the Torah repeats. On the first day, Nachshon ben Aminadav, and this was his korban, he brought such and such and such and such and such and such. On the second day was the korban of Masana ben Suan, he brought such and such and it's all the same. And the Torah repeats it 12 times over. We never have such a thing in the Torah. 12 times the Torah repeats, instead of just saying the 12 people brought the same thing and this is what they brought, the Torah each time says it over and over and over and over. So it says like this. The Tanel ben Suah gave an eitzah. He said, we're coming to dedicate the Mizbeach. Let's bring all the same thing. Why should we all bring the same thing? Because let's get rid of the competition in the Chanukah Mizbeach. Because if there'll be competition, will bring different, each one will try to outdo the other one, that he brought something special that the other one didn't. And when you try to outdo the other one, who's involved in it? What's involved in outdoing somebody else? What's it called? It's called ego. The ego is not exactly Avodas Hashem. The I is not connected with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The I, Anoichi, the Anoichi separates between a person and Hashem. So the Tanu ben Su'ah, he gave the eitzah that there shouldn't be any ego involved and any competition and jealousy between the people, that when they dedicate the Mizbeach, they should all bring exactly the same thing. And this was so chashuv b'HaKadosh Baruch Hu that they dedicated the Mizbeach in a way of achdus, in a way of achva, of brotherhood and shalom, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu related to each one's korban as if it would have been something individual. And even though we have dinim in the Torah, which are big, large dinim, which are the Torah dedicates sometimes a vav, an extra vav, or one word, here the Torah repeats it and repeats it, repeats it. Because the achva and the shalom and the achdus b'HaKadosh Baruch Hu is such an important thing that the Torah gave it over and over and over, repeated what these korbanos are. And continues the Chafetz Chaim and says, people don't know what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from them. People think that he wants big Mesiras Nefesh, all sorts of invention, all sorts of spulas. People invent all sorts of things that they think that this is going to bring them close to Hashem. And the Navi says that people don't know how to get close to Hashem. The Navi comes and says in the name of Hashem, Higid L'cha Odom HaToiv. The Navi says in the name of Hashem, I'm coming to tell you, man, what's Toiv? Uma Hashem Doresh Mimcha. What does Hashem want from us? What does he really want? Ki'im, what does he want? Asot Mishpat Va'avas Chesed. To be a straight person, in other words, not to do something crooked to the other one, and love of kindness. The third thing that's mentioned in that pasuk, by the way, is V'hetzna leches in elokecha, to do things not looking for honor. So what does Hashem want from us? Specifically two things. Achdus, in other words, not jealousy between the people, achdus, kindness to each other, and hetzna leches, not to look for one's deeds, to receive honor from others. To trust it's enough that Hashem knows. That's what Hashem wants. That's it. Finished. That's all he wants. And that's what we see in that parasha. Now it's interesting that one who gave this eitzah that they all should bring the same thing, his name was, he was from Shevet Yisachar. And his name is Nisano ben Suah. Now you could say like this, how does a person conquer the trait of jealousy? Let's analyze this name. Netanel. Netanel is Natan Kel. If you recognize that everything is not yours, that it's all a gift from Hashem, which is also connected, we spoke about Nova, it's not mine. Natan Kel. Ben Su'ah. Su'ah, the word Su'ah has in it an ayin, and the other letters make the word Tsar. The opposite of an ayin toiva, somebody that's ready to fargen, ready to give honor to others and not looking to put down the others to push himself, is called this midah of jealousy is called an ayin tsar. He has what sochut ayin. Person that is disturbed by the goodness of others or by the positive quality of others. So he has an ayin tsar, a narrow eye. So Netanel, that in the name itself, it says the Torah hints us the trait. How do you conquer an ayin tsar? Netanel ben tzu'ah. The tikkun, the correction of an ayin tsar, tzu'ah as an ayin tsar, is to recognize that everything is matnas kel, that everything is a gift from Hashem. And that was his leader. That was he told others. Kohen was jealous of the Chanukas on his bear, a positive jealousy. He had tsar. He didn't share. He and the Shevet didn't share in the dedication of the altar. So Hashem told him, "You will dedicate the menorah. The menorah yours will be la'olam. Shalcha v'haloischa es haneiros." This week's parasha begins uplifting the neiros. First of all, so one second. I'm going to go back a second. Perhaps the reason why the dedication of the Mizbeach had to be specifically in a way without competition, because what is the concept of a korban? Today we have avodah, tefillah, pray instead of a korban. What is avodah? Korbanos are three pillars the world stands. One of the three is avodah. What is avodah? At the time the Bismillah is being korbanos. Why is it called avodah? What is the idea of korbanos? Korbanos, I take something which is valuable to me, and I say I'm giving it to Hashem. It's not mine. The whole concept of a korban is to take this world and say, this world doesn't have a power in itself. It has no kiyum, no existence from itself. It's to transfer the world, to take the nivra and give it back to the Bible. That's avodah. Avodah and Eved. He said, Eved, I'm not mine. The Eved, the servant, belongs to his master. The world belongs to Hashem. This is Kabbanis. What's the concept of Kabbanis? So again, let's go back. That everything is matnas kel, netanel. That's the whole concept of Kabbanis. Now, to bring Kabbanis, to dedicate the Mizbeach with competition, with competitiveness, is an antithesis. It's the opposite of the whole Mizbeach. The dedication of the Mizbeach had to be purely in a way of abdus. And abdus is by the way where you have the beetle, the abolishment of the pushing of the I, in terms of I, mine, that it's me. And this concept, by the way, in Hebrew is hinted in the word ani. It doesn't exist in another language. The letters of ani make another word. What other word can you make from the word ani? Three letters. Ayin. What is ayin? Shum. The ani has to be made into ayin in front of Hashem. Shum devak is not me. It's not mine. It's a gift from Hashem. In 1 second, I'm not there. In 1 second, I lose everything I have. It's a constant gift of Hashem. If a person lives with that concept, this brings to anova. This brings from running or not running after honor, and this brings to not being mekaneh, and to be forgive the others, because it's not his. It's all. Each one has different gifts from Hashem to serve Hashem. So these now Aaron HaKohen as well. His dedication, why he made a dedication of the menorah. What was the special trait that the Torah tells us about Aaron HaKohen? That when Moshe Rabbeinu was chosen to be the leader of Klal Yisrael, Hashem promises Moshe Rabbeinu, when Aaron will come and meet you, v'ruacho v'samach b'liboy. Aaron is called a leiv someach b'gdulas ochid, a happy heart from the greatness of his brother. He didn't have jealousy. So he too could make a Chanukah which remains. His Chanukah, his dedication of the menorah. But his special job was to lift up the people of Am Yisrael. When is Am Yisrael uplifted? That's b'halois chasaneiros. I just finished with this idea. B'halois chasaneiros. Uplift the candles. It says in Mishlei, Ner Hashem Nishmas Adam. The Neshama people are considered neiros, candles. The candle of Hashem is Nishmas Adam. So if we go back to the pasuk, what's b'halois chasaneiros? To lift up the neiros. To lift up the souls, to be uplifting souls, and that was Aaron's avodah in life. Aaron was Oyev Shalom, V'Roidev Shalom, Oyev Esabriyos, he loved the people, and he was Mekar of them to Torah. All the work of Aaron was to lift them up. But the Tnai Rishon before Torah is to be Noyev Kavod Zevazez Ba'achtis. When is Am Yisrael uplifted? By the Midah of Shalom. And this is Merumas in the Menorah itself. There was one special trait in the Menorah. The Menorah, the Torah stresses, the Menorah was not made from parts put together. Miksha Achas. It had to be one, it was knocked out from one piece of gold. So that's a remez. When are the neshamas mit aleh? What is the tool for the aliyas neshamas of Klal Yisrael? Miksha achas. When the noya kavod zevazeh. The noya kavod zevazeh. This brings Am Yisrael close to Hashem. That's higil cha'adam ma'toiv, and this brings them, gives them the kalim to be uplifted and close to Hashem. So we spoke about the Ish Moshe Anav Ma'od. We spoke about what were the points that we spoke. Anav Ma'od. The first point was that Moshe Rabbeinu, Anav is not to be unaware of one's milas. It's to understand that it doesn't belong to oneself. Secondly, not to compare oneself to others, but to compare oneself to oneself. Thirdly, the concept of running away from honor, because honor gives the schar for mitzvahs. And then we spoke about the midah of that Hashem doesn't want kinah, Chanukas HaMizbeach, Netana Ben Tzua, that if you recognize that everything is a matana from Hashem, this means kinah. And then we spoke about the beginning of the parsha, that what's Mala in the Shabbos of Klal Yisrael, Alois Chasaneris, when you have the midah of Aaron and Bemet, which was Oyev Shalom, Roidev Shalom, and this is totally Miksha Achas, the Menorah being one part. That's a vague summary.